mic, will you?
I'll go out of the labor council.
There we go.
Dave, how are you, sir?
I can. I will not. I might not be up
I
breakfast.
haven't got any talk.
I'm not sure. I'm supposed to go to a Lehigh Valley Partnership meeting at 7 o'clock. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I think I will.
Throw it my way, I catch it. Oh, that's not good.
Well, that's okay. I was supposed to call in tonight, and I did.
Yeah, I was surprised to see you here. I was going to text you because I didn't think you'd be here. The only one running late is Taiba.
No way.
Peter, is he coming?
I don't know.
All these hard questions you're asking, Rita.
Well, I don't know either. That's why I'm asking.
We a bunch of don't know.
I'm not offended you. Give me more work.
We've learned to expect that from you.
Wow.
Don't take that sitting down.
Just
Rita.
wow.
Don't take that sitting down.
Can we use it as like a template?
Ah.
Oh, good.
I set it up like that. The only thing that says, I told you, this is for employees, for businesses. So we could really just come up with generic employee or the physician. Right. So it's only two classifications.
Okay.
User agreement. User agreement being people who they allow to use sites of, just to indicate that, you know, they decide whatever limitations are on monthly blockers.
Yeah.
I'm officially done with online shopping.
All right.
Full disclaimer.
A little chilly in here today.
It is chilly.
Cold out.
Yeah.
Mark, how are
The
you?
sun goes down, forget it.
It was.
Yeah.
It stayed a little longer today.
Right.
It's a little nicer.
Yeah.
The days are getting longer now.
Because all day, all that's in the prison
Fresh.
walls.
Yeah.
Can they come back?
I had found that. But I had so many drafts. I couldn't pull. I didn't pull the right one.
Oh.
I finally found the right
It
one.
was a lot of running.
And then I.
But the back held up. It felt good.
It
Felt good. They had about 4 inches of snow up there.
jurisdiction thing.
So we had,
They said, yeah,
Yeah.
they said it was gonna be
Yeah.
3 to 6.
they had a 6'7" and a 6'9".
Wow. Well, that's like Lafayette has a tall team, but they can't shoot.
Yeah.
They need me to come out of the
Not shoot. Last year they had shooters and not no height. This year they can shoot.
Yeah.
I bet they did 10% of 3-pointers. I don't know why they kept trying. They were air balls.
I can do that.
How's your son enjoying it, Pete?
He's doing well, thank you.
We don't guarantee that.
How's he enjoying it? The
It's good.
I hope.
Pete's son became a official, basketball official.
Need young guys.
We surely do. We only 360 short.
Only 360
Only 360 short.
They start with Thursday games?
We've been doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And Sundays for 7th, 8th, 7th, was it 7th, 8th grade sometimes. That's not short. We have another
Right in the international.
same time you're killing us. Yeah, yeah. One of them blows like, come on.
Call a state session of City Council in order. Please rise for an invocation followed by a pledge of allegiance. Father, we come before you tonight asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion that allows us to grow as a group and nurture the bonds of our community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Hold on. Mr. Brown?
Present.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Milan?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Mrs. Sultana? Mayor Panto?
Here. Approval of the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Any additions, deletions, or changes? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Action on our minutes of November 21st meeting?
Move the minutes.
Moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brown. Any additions, deletions, or changes? Corrections? Roll call.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
At this point, we're at meeting public comment on agenda items only. There is a time at the end of the meeting for comments on anything concerning the city of Easton. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the city council agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Under the consent agenda, we have bill number 38 that was introduced by Mr. Ettinger, which would amend the pool fees of the code of the city of Easton. We also had bill number 39 that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 general fund budget. We had bill number 40, hold on, that was also introduced by Mr. Brown that would amend the 2023 debt service fund budget. And we have bill number 41 that was introduced by Mr. Brown that would amend the 2023 health fund budget. We also have a resolution being introduced by Mayor Panto, making appointments to the Easton Planning Commission and the Board of Health. And we have a resolution being introduced by Mr. Milan, which authorizes the city administration to sell various city-owned items on a site called Municipid. It's
I'll
a
move.
government auction site.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second. Moved in second. Discussion. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
And Mayor Panto?
Aye. We would just like to thank City Council for approval of the Planning Commission members. We have 2 members from the West Ward, which is really good. There are no reports received by council, so we'll go right into committee reports. Vice Mayor Brown, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I have several things on this evening, as I am very happy to come to a conclusion and ending of this year. As we go forward, approving the 2024 budget, approving a tax rate for 2024, and also a resolution for administration benefit package for 2024. That's what I have this evening.
Okay, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor Brown. Economic Development Committee, Councilmember O'Connell.
I have no report, Mayor.
Planning Coach is not here. Public Safety Committee, Councilman Ruggles.
Just a reminder that we are going to have that Monday LiDAR demonstration. The actual demo starts at 10 o'clock, I'm told. So it'll be at the police station.
The classroom starts at 9.
Classroom starts at 9. So if you want to learn something, come at 9. If you just want to watch, come at 10. That's all I got.
Thank you, Dr. Ruggles. Public Works Committee, Mr. Ettinger.
I have no report, Mayor.
And Administration Committee, Mr. Milan.
I have no report.
And Report of the Solicitor, Mr. Shear.
I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of the Mayor, I just want to mention that couple things. You may have noticed at Time Restaurant, not Time, but you all been invited to the Time soft opening. Time Restaurant on the top of the Commodore rooftop will be open next week to the public. Tomorrow night they have a soft opening. You may have noticed that Bayou has been closed for the last couple of weeks. They have had a collapsed sewer line. We had to rip up the ice skating rink. It will be hopefully back in order for this weekend. It's supposed to be nice out. And their sewer line is being repaired. We did not have to go into the street, so that was the good news. We have, there will also be a post-mortem on special events. We'll be talking about traffic that we had on Saturday when we had a lot of events. We had 2 sold-out shows at the theater. We had Winter Market. We had the Farmers Market overlap the Winter Market. So that closed down Larry Holmes Drive and the Circle, which made it traffic really dangerously backed up on Cemetery Curve. We certainly don't like that. We brought in police to get the traffic off of Route 22. We'll be looking at the post-mortem on those events and the traffic impacts. Winter Market this weekend, the Bach Choir of Bethlehem fame is down here at 4 o'clock. I would suggest that anybody wants to see the Bach Choir, it's free. There's no ticket charge, and you certainly can come down this weekend. It's supposed to be 50 degrees on Saturday, no rain. No rain until late Sunday night, so hopefully we get Sunday in. Last weekend we canceled Winter Market, and the meteorologists were wrong. Imagine that. The Nescahoning Pocket Park, where we found African Americans buried, is being resolution for City Council to name it the Nescahoning Memorial Cemetery Park. And we have a design. The committee's picked up the design of the 2 that the architects came up with. ISEP was the one who did them, and I know Mr. Brown served on that committee. And the initial cost of that park is about $450,000. We're going to see how much of it we can do in-house with our own people, and try to get that price down around $250,000. And we'll create that park. So hopefully by the summer of 2024. Update on the Ferry Street properties. A lot of people are questioning what's going on. They are not owned by the city. They're not even scheduled to be owned by the city. And so what's happening is people are selling themselves. We've not been able to get the insurance companies to work together on the properties that were fire raged, so that we could buy all of them, and we were going to put a project there of residential housing. So we have one that's for sale, one that was sold, and one that is being remodeled. So they're starting to do, the insurance companies are starting to pay for the renovations. Also, on the HR report, Human Relations, we have 31 applicants for our parking enforcement officers in the traffic division. So we're really excited about that. They've been hopefully coming back. We have on our police activity 4 applicants that are taken off the list. 4 of them are going through the background check. 3 have already passed it. 1 should be done by the end of the week. And also, I want to announce publicly the retirement of our city clerk, Rita Mesa, in January. So I want to say goodbye, and we'll certainly do something then.
Thank you.
Must be nice to retire at 35.
Yeah, it's making me feel old.
Also, I want to invite
Flattery.
City Council next Wednesday, December 20th, is from 11 to 1 is the Employee Appreciation Luncheon that we host every year. So I want to invite all the city council members to that. And I'll turn it over now to Mr. Campos.
Just a couple of things, Mayor, real quick. First of all, I want to let City Council know that Mark Lesnicki and myself attended what is a meeting for third-class city managers that was held in the city of Bethlehem. And amongst many topics, we talked about budget, finances, ERP systems, including we talked about outsourcing, insourcing trash services. So that's something that I'm going to follow up on with the city of Harrisburg specifically. They had some interesting numbers, and I want to take a look at that. Just that's due to our costs continuing to increase. The second item that I do want to bring up before I get to some budget announcements is that we have a program through Service Line Warranties of America that Dr. Ruggles and the mayor both had introduced and had advocated for. And I'll send out the report that was provided to me to council, so you can review them. But just ensure we have right now about 160 customers covered for an emergency home repair. To give you an idea of one of several services that they offer is they cover lines from the curb into the house, which is typically not covered by insurance. It's a nominal fee. You're talking about a few dollars a month, et cetera. So,
That's water, sewer.
water, sewer, those are the lines that come into the house.
I thought, gas? No, gas. Just
Water and sewer, yeah. And right now, they've saved so far, our customers, our residents, about $75,000. If you check, not all policies, homeowners policies have those. It's a good program because of, first of all, this company does it nationally. They're based out of Pittsburgh. Overall, it's a good program. I know I shop them personally, to use a couple of their products. But nevertheless, I'll send this out to you, and then we're gonna continue to promote this, program, through our newsletter and whatever other means that we have. The city does generate, it's 50 cents a transaction, 50 cents on the monthly premium costs. So just wanted to brief you on that, and I'll send out the report that was provided to me. Secondly, January 22nd, just to put this on your radar, the mayor and I were contacted by the governor's office, the Office of Critical Investments. There's, and I think we talked about this already, the mayor may have mentioned it, but the Commonwealth has received federal funding that came through ARPA for alternative type of energy investments. And right now they're very interested in both the Chain Dam and also the Easton Dam. As a result, we did hold off on negotiating the final lease with New England Hydro, and only because we wanted to make sure that we got into a room with not only the governor's office but with the county, so we can discuss which program is more beneficial in meeting the end goal agenda on renewable energy. I will tell you this, that, and you can hear it from my mouth, I know the mayor has said it, that the administration is 100% supportive of renewable energy initiatives, especially from the governor. So we'd like to have the opportunity to talk with the governor and also the county. This is not a delay, but this is just our doing our proper due diligence and making sure that we're examining everything. We were very close to finalizing a lease, even though there's some very esoteric type of issues that we have to deal with FARC, which is FERC, excuse me, which is a regulating agency. But despite that, I think we're getting through that hurdle. We now have to talk with the governor's office. So it's fairly exciting, and I think that the county certainly would be very interested in our due diligence and also this potential large opportunity. So, any questions on that?
The state is looking at both dams, the Chain Dam and the Easton Dam down at the Lehigh, where Lehigh goes into Delaware. So they're looking at both dams. They've come up on their radar as being very good candidates for hydroelectric power.
I think they're looking at 11 dams across the Commonwealth right now that they've told us anyway. So we have 2 of the 11. That's not bad. And then it's really not bad. And also the power that this can generate could be a lot more robust than New England Hydro was offering. So I think it's positive when we're looking at all of these items. And I just want to tell you, from the administration standpoint, we're advising council that, and the mayor obviously, that we're supporting this. So just bear with us as we continue to do our due diligence. Dr. Ruggles is joining us at that meeting, which makes sense considering his background.
If I may,
And also our solicitors.
but if I may, because as the solicitor, the concept is one thing. There's been no doubt since day one that this New England Hydro proposal was provided in concept, that the city supported the green energy. Which doesn't mean, by the way, that the city doesn't have to look in a big picture as to what impact it could have on other green energy projects within the area, which is one of the reasons why we're looking at these other dams and make sure there's no impact. But regardless of that aspect of it, from my perspective, the lease, the contract itself is something different. And if you could just give me a one-page contract that says that, they could use this space and we could terminate it if they don't behave, great, it's simple. But this is not simple. This contract was filled with all kinds of, I thought, traps and and adverse things, and we made a lot of progress. I can't say we got to the finish line. We were about to submit something that Mr. Clark has now been helping me on, but we put everything on pause. I just want council to be aware that when we get to the stage that you have to sign on the bottom line, you really have to
50
look at the
years.
paragraphs of the provisions within there. And we've managed, I think, to reduce a lot of the exposures, but, well, we have a new concern too, that dealing with parkland and your ability to let lands that's used for park to be used for any other purpose. But that's an independently new issue. I just don't want it to be I don't want it to sound like a fait accompli. Yeah, it's a great project. We're all for it. We're all for it as long as the terms are proper and they don't expose citizens to a liability and a financial cost potentially that only aids a for-profit enterprise and jeopardizes the citizens themselves. So I just want to make clear, there's a bigger picture here.
Much bigger, and it's for 50 years.
Mayor, the final thing, my comments, I'll just reserve to bill number 42 during the discussion, which has to do with the 24 budget. So I'll just save it for when council's discussing that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Campos. Moving right along, we'll go to,
Mr. Mayor, can I want to propose a few things. I wanted to talk about under my committee report, but can I do it now? Or should I wait?
I guess it's up to city council. We've already passed that on the agenda. Anyone have an issue with?
I can actually talk about this when we are right at the bill number 42.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Fine. Moving on to correspondence, there's no correspondence, we're going to unfinished business, Madam Clerk.
We have bill number 42 that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would approve the budget for 2024.
Move.
Second.
Mayor,
thanks.
I'm sorry, Mayor, if you're going to ask for discussion.
Yeah, we'll have a discussion.
Okay,
Now you're going to give the update.
right. So, in addition to this budget, which I want to make, I want to add some clarity to it. There is a resolution under new business that details specifically on the mechanism that should be used for not only the allowance then for approving the allowance when you go to a city council meeting, when you go to a conference that a member of city council wants to attend. And I won't read it. Generally summarized is that it's $2,500 per council member, right? Now, so that's what the resolution says, and I worked on that with Rita, and I think I'm comfortable with that. The first item then, approving the budget. I think there was really no clear direction, and I think when we talked about this with council, I went ahead and adjusted the council budget to $15,000, which equals, if you divide it by the council members, $2,500 a head. What I am asking council to do, since I'm the one who put that in there, and I don't think council was necessarily explicit on moving that in there, is to move that $15,000 out, put it into the contingency fund, because the resolution, again, outlines the process that city council just has to identify to the administration which conference they're going to go to, and the total at least 60 days prior to that that conference, and I'm just going to make that clear. That works really well with our unions, et cetera. We have similar type of a framework with them, and I think we talked about that generally when we got together in that budget meeting. So there's no impact on the budget by moving that money, that $15,000, to the administration's budget. But this just allows for better fiscal controls, if you will. And then that's what I wanted to bring up, and I obviously I welcome your comments.
I see no problem with that. It makes it cleaner, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, I want to add, propose two things actually that I wanted to discuss yesterday, but it didn't work out. I want to talk about a little bit what happened on Ferry Street. We all know that, right? And I have discussed you over the phone, and um, so just a little bit for details, like um, a tragedy that unfolded in Easton on Memorial Day, May 29th, 2023. Huge fire that was broken in Easton West Ward on Ferry Street hit and burned down the whole block, basically. So we all know it was the city's biggest fire in years, which affected at least 15 homes. The impacted families had to save their lives and left their belongings behind, like phones, their wallets, and even shoes behind. So 60 people were displaced and were in dire and immediate needs of temporary housing. At that moment, community members had to come together, bring their own belongings, pre-loved stuff to help the families. So many people had to sleep in their vehicles, besides some who had to spend nights at hotels. It took at least 5 months for some of the families for local nonprofit organizations to house all those displaced. Uh, with that in mind, I would like to create and propose a policy called Ferry Aid, which stands for Fire Emergency and Risk Recovery Yield, and named after the Ferry Street where a fire blaze broke out. The city's community and Economic Development Department, I'm sure, can handle this program since it's directly correlated to the housing. That policy will help connect those in urgent needs of housing impacted by fires or any other natural disaster by offering financial help and cities unoccupied units or houses on a temporary basis. Families will recover by providing resources to repair, rebuild, and elevate their homes or relocate. Ferry aid efforts will help communities all across the city of Easton. Program will also assist tenants with rent payments to avoid eviction for a duration of 3 months. That's just my proposal. Funds should not surpass $4,000 per household. Um, it, I feel like this is something we should do as a city, just to provide an emergency assistance.
Comments?
Yes, I do have a comment. I'm wondering, and I mean this in no discord of anyone. A lot of times, and I'm going back to when I was a manager, then executive of housing. One of the things that I've always told my tenants is to make sure that they have rental insurance, very minimum, $8 to $9 a month, to protect themselves. Because I knew at that time that anything that if it was a catastrophic issue, that the federal government was not going to cover that, and that will protect them. The other thing that brings to mind for me, I don't really know, and I would have to ask the question, is that something that is in the city's purview to be able to do with taxpayers' money, and how do we justify it? Who's going to run it? Who's going to say who's eligible for it, who's not eligible for it, and where is that coming out of? What line item? That's just my basic questions.
Just want to answer, one by one.
Mhm.
For rental insurance, a lot of the population in the city of Easton living paycheck to paycheck.
I realize that.
And a lot of people are not able to put extra burden on their shoulders, and we all know that. I have known so many people who cannot pay even $50 for insurance per month because they barely survive on their paychecks. Um, and the other thing is, yes, this is a taxpayer's money, but it will be spent on taxpayers. They are the one who will be paying tax, and they are the one who will be being helped.
Who decides what's a disaster? If I have a fire in my house, I lose my wallet, my cash, my credit cards, my belongings, my deed. Is that a disaster? To me, it's a disaster.
It's a natural, yeah.
To me, it's a disaster. So do I get $4,000? I mean, I agree with Mr. Brown. I think the whole thing is, it's very unfortunate that we have a large population of like 30% that are low income and they can't afford renters insurance. But many landlords are now requiring, well, I have two things. Landlords are requiring renters insurance because they don't want to see the renter get hurt either. And secondly, isn't that the job of our nonprofits? We had a lot of nonprofits come together and really
Yeah.
rise to the occasion. Churches, the Third Street Alliance, they all came together. The Lehigh Valley Community Foundation. I mean, they all came together and
Yeah.
raised a lot of money.
Absolutely, and this is why I just talked about emergency fund. You know, we can provide them emergency assistance.
Dr. Ruggles.
I think that we have organizations that do this, and I think that this particular notion is something that we really haven't investigated. I know for a fact that the Red Cross came in on Ferry Street and provided aid to those people, and they are an organization that has the infrastructure that can do that. We don't, and I just think that while I feel bad for people, I mean, I've seen disasters all over the country, and I feel very bad for people who experience those disasters. But FEMA comes in, Red Cross comes in. There are agencies that do this, and I don't think that we as a city need to get in there and do something else. I mean, we don't. I have no idea how much money Red Cross poured in. I do know that they ended up giving money. I think the final payment was like over $1,000 to each family that was out there, because I kind of I was kind of in on that. But you know, that money was there. Red Cross provided it, and I think that, you know, a concept like this is just kind of going around what we already have in you know, those agencies that are there to provide that aid.
They kind of make the concept of how to give it, when to give it, what are the criteria.
My third question is, why didn't this come at the 3 budget hearings that we had? We had 3 budget hearings and it didn't come up at all.
Right.
Now that we have a balanced budget that's been introduced and is to be voted on, why is it the 12th hour we're dealing with? How much money you want to put in it?
Maybe $100,000. Trust me, because we.
Well, where are you
we
gonna get
don't. Yeah, we don't.
We can't do that.
Where are you gonna get the 100,000? You're gonna cut something from it.
We can't do it.
We-
Yeah, if I may, I mean, because I'm a little confused about the discussion. The budget was called. If there was going to be procedurally, I mean, this was introduced 2 weeks ago, and you've had all your committee meetings. Now came time to vote. Now, every member has a right to make an amendment. Now, we have to have another meeting because it would be a substantial change. But the requirements under your Home Rule Charter 505B, the proposal has to be, okay, I propose $100,000 into this fund. It really does make sense to have very clear details as to what that fund's all about, how it works, and you certainly have, Councilperson Sultana has introduced an outline that would be something great to work on in committee in time ahead for potential consideration if you then move monies from another line. But for tonight, it has to be in the form of an amendment that says, I want to move X number of dollars out of X fund and put it designated here for this particular purpose. So unless someone is making an amendment clearly stating where it's coming from, it's really not appropriate at this moment in time.
And
That-
it doesn't have to happen tonight.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression, I didn't make the committee meeting last night. I kind of told you 9 days in advance I was going to be there, but I thought it came up last night at committee meeting.
No, Mrs.
Yeah,
Sultana.
we couldn't make up to the meeting.
Well, I met with Mrs. Sultana last Friday.
last Friday.
I told her if she wants to bring anything up, Tuesday night's the night to bring it up, and if it was really something that had council support, I would make it put it on the agenda, we would advertise it 24 hours in advance as required, and we didn't meet that. We didn't meet the 24 hours, so anything that's decided tonight would have to go on the January 10th meeting.
And-
Because,
in committee.
because there's a resolution to cancel the meeting on December 27th.
Well, you haven't,
Yeah.
Which we
So
may
we
change.
can definitely, work on our resolution, the budget today, and then we can make an amendment. I have no problem with
We
that.
can't work on the budget. The budget is, we primarily, 2 weeks ago, put it to tonight, where we are voting on the budget, the
Right.
final budget.
Mhm.
Okay? The only other way that can work is that the budget would have to be reopened in a new year. But what Mr. Shearer is saying, as of right now, we cannot do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Yeah,
and I
I-
just want to forewarn
just
you
wanted
that
to- yeah.
finding $100,000 in this budget is going to be very difficult. When we are looking for $50 and $100 when we're balancing the budget in the staff, $100,000 is a third of a mill. It's not a small amount of money, as Mr. Lewis,
And this
Mr.
is so-
Campos will agree. $100,000. When we met, you talked about 50,000.
Yeah,
that was a lot.
yes. but
Well, while this may be a good idea, okay, again, I don't think that this is something that on a city council night in the first meeting in December and the last meeting of the year, and then on a meeting where we're voting on the budget, is something that we should decide on. I mean, if this is something that is important to the city, let's look at it. Let's look at it carefully. Let's look at what all of the different agencies that are out there and see what aid they're providing and to see how best this can be implemented. Doing this in one meeting it's not good organization. Okay?
Mayor, I just
That's all I can
also,
say.
I think the administration would like the opportunity to also review this proposal because it's, to my knowledge, and we have to be careful on this. We have not reviewed anything. I have not seen anything. And I can't tell you if DCED, if that's the proper location to administer this program. I mean, we just have to put some thought into this. And I know it-
I would never put it in the operating budget. It would not be in 101. I would vote for it in, let's say, the 151 fund, where it's at 100,000. It doesn't get, and if it doesn't get used for 5 years, it's still at $100,000.
the only thing is 151 is capital only.
But it's city capital. So if we decide that it's capital improvement, then we decide we put it in there. I don't want to see it be put into that we have to budget for it every year when there's no disaster. I mean, let's hope there's not any disaster. But I'll tell you
Well,
what,
if it's just a fire, and you get
$100,000.
We
4,000,
can
it's-
work on the less,
it's 25 houses.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is we did start a fund with the Community Foundation
Right.
for the Revenue Department. I mean, certainly it's for the Recreation Department. Certainly we can talk to the Community Foundation about opening up another fund, and then that way individual council members can go ahead and target companies.
I understand, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm just trying to wrap around my head is, how does a city, wait a minute,
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to say it without saying it incorrectly. How does a city administrate a fund like that? And there's so many tiers to that, and there are so many organizations who already have that in place. And the city gives to a lot of these organizations throughout the city through CDBG grants, through other developments that we may have,
Well,
money to come forth.
You're right. Our role, the city's role during that this time period was as a conduit. So we were connecting
Yes.
the county agency with our local nonprofit organizations. That, as the mayor pointed out, Dr. Ruggles, were hands-on, starting from the Red Cross, who, by the way, shows up immediately and provides immediate housing and short-term housing. But then from there, once there's immediate stabilization, the community got to work. So, for example, Third Street Alliance was also receiving funds from the county. And there were several other organizations that I know of. But the city and our staff worked as a conduit. I mean, that was our primary role because it gets very complicated. Now, like I said earlier, we did not have we have not had an opportunity to take a look at any detail regarding this plan. So if there's detail, we would like the opportunity to review it. So right now, I'm just, if this is not being introduced, maybe we should.
can't be all
We-
things
no,
to all
yeah.
people.
Yeah,
can't.
and that's up to you. And the one thing I would ask, the mayor, before we even go there, if you want the administration to go ahead and do a deeper dive and analysis and review this, just like we've done with several others on the council, I would ask that council perhaps at a subsequent meeting directs the administration through a resolution, if you're really, if you're in favor of that.
Well, even before we go as far as that, I think the first line that we should be going through is going through committee. And that, I asked that question about yesterday, because I didn't know if it was brought up in committee. Once it has been brought up in committee and vetted and talked about, and then we bring it to the full council, that has not yet happened. So that's where I'm from.
So let me read Mayor's email to you, actually. Mayor actually said, we talked about this, and Rita actually sent out the email as well, that we will have a meeting on the 12th. And Ms. Rita cleared that up, like you will be missing the meeting. But Mayor actually sent out the email to everyone that we will be meeting because Councilwoman Sultana wants to introduce this and propose this. Mayor, did you remember, right?
Yeah,
And
we
it's
all
in the
got that.
email.
We all got
And-
it all
we all got
council.
that.
Right. So it was in the email. It was mentioned before, and I came to the city hall last night, but nobody was here. And I spoke to Mayor last night, so I have no idea how come you didn't know there was a last meeting last night. But in my information, I think you were going to
You were
miss.
the only one on the agenda. You weren't here. You were in Bethlehem,
Right,
attending an event in
And-
Bethlehem instead of being here where you belong.
right.
And you
Yeah.
had something. You had 3 things you wanted to put on the agenda last night, and you chose not to show up until 6:30.
Now-
We all got that, admit.
Mayor,
we all got that.
Mayor, I emailed and I said I will be running late.
Yeah.
I emailed.
About
Yeah.
at least 30 minutes.
Right, and I was here, because nobody said that the meeting will be
So
canceled.
we all sat around and wait for you.
We waited till 6:15.
So I didn't know that that's only the mean, because
But you called the
There
meeting
was a-
though, Ms. Sultana. You're the one that called that meeting, and I didn't know this. I know it now, but you called a committee meeting. Everybody knew I was not going to be there because I let the clerk know almost a week and a half out on that date for a committee meeting, and the only thing on the agenda for the committee meeting was supposed to take place with the 2 things you had coming forth. But now I hear you didn't show up. It's not council's fault that,
I am not saying it's council's fault, but I'm just clarifying it was in the email because you said that it was not mentioned before. So I'm not looking this to be passed tonight. This is something that I'm just proposing today, just talking about it. That's all. I mean, we are still, I know we are going to pass the budget, but definitely, I mean, we can talk about this later. I can send everyone to, Mr. Campos. We will talk about this. We'll see, if we need 100,000, if we need 50,000, if we need 10,000, we can put any amount together. I understand there are a lot of organizations that are working, but it's literally an emergency fund, just like emergency fund. We can reduce the amount from 4,000 to 3,000. As I said, we can work together. And there are so many cities that have disaster relief funds putting on side. So this is not something, this is not an excuse that cities can do that. Cities have been doing that. Their flood program, their flood recovery program, this program, like disaster program, let's say that.
That's the federal
That's
government.
FEMA.
That's FEMA.
But
That's
cities
not the city.
cities also have
Yeah,
created,
they're not
I can
third-
send that to you.
I could almost
I have no
guarantee you they're not
name on my
third-class cities.
top of my head.
they're not third class. I can almost guarantee you it's not small cities like us, a third class city that can take that type of money and be able to do that. I hear it's great what you're trying to do.
Let me propose this.
We might don't
It's-
even
let-
use it. you
Let's
know,
just
because-
take a look at
Yes.
this particular proposal. I would propose to council, we send this to the Public Safety Committee. The Public Safety Committee can work on it and work with the administration administration,
Mhm.
and we can put together a
Yeah.
possibility of what might come forward with that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's a good idea. I mean, we do it in committee.
Yeah, we'll do
And
it
if
right.
there's support in the committee to bring it to the council, we'll bring it to the council. The other issue is your issue. And I told Mrs. Sultana that she should go to you because it's a crime prevention program. And that definitely comes under public safety.
Mhm.
Okay, any other discussion on Bill 42?
Yeah, so, it sounds like regarding then the $15,000 that was put in conferences and,
We just need a motion to formalize it.
do we, because you already have you have a first and second. A first and second regarding the introduction of
On
the
the
budget.
introduction of the budget. And the
Right.
budget has $2,500 in it because it's still my budget.
Right,
And the 15,000 has to be changed, and it wasn't changed at the budget hearings. So somebody needs tonight to make an adjustment to raise it to $15,000.
Joel, that's what, Mayor, excuse me.
I
That-
want to
that's,
make sure it's not a.
no, that's my question. Do we need to do that? Or do we just, make that adjustment here? Because it is de minimis. It's like,
You already provided it in the overall budget, right?
it's already, well, yeah, we're moving it from one,
Category into another, into
The
one
council to
account into
administration.
another account, that's all to oversee. So that would not be a major change because the dollars we're spending are the same.
Right.
Oh, the
Same.
same.
And so you're just making, someone should make an amendment, which I would rule is not substantive in nature as to where it should appear within the budget. As long as we're not taking money out of, as long as we're not introducing a
changing
new
the budget.
expenditure, we're not introducing a new expenditure, we're just putting it in a place where
Well,
it's
we
more
are introducing a new, we're increasing an expenditure. It's just an amendment. It's an amendment to the proposed budget, and the administration will take it from another line item.
line item that would have covered conferences.
Right.
no,
No.
we're moving, we're zeroing out in the council's budget and then putting that 15,000 into administration's budget.
I will
Everything-
move that.
And I
Everything
will
stays the
second that.
same. Everything
And I will
stays the
second
same.
that.
Now, we'll select where in the administration budget that goes.
They're just gonna
But
put it,
just so you know, we're putting it in.
yeah, it doesn't change the budget.
It doesn't
Same
change the
amount.
budget,
Right, it does change it.
yeah.
Okay,
Mr.
just
Shear?
so I know what we're doing. So Dr. Ruggers.
Hold on, Mr. Shear.
You have 15, what exactly are you transferring from where to where? I
We're
guess that's,
taking the $15,000 that the administration put into that line item without city council approval. I mean, we basically knew that.
Into
there was a
which line?
consensus. We're putting it into an administrative budget,
right.
and we're gonna take it out of that administrative budget and put it back in there for $15,000. So we're taking the $2,500 to $15,000, but we're not changing the budget,
Right, I understand.
because we're increasing an administrative line item by $15,000. We're just moving money internally.
But that money was in the council budget right now,
Yes, we're just
For
gonna take
meetings.
it out of that.
as all you're doing is
Different-
sliding it over into the same,
The budget,
different
that
fund.
money was never approved to be in the budget, in the council budget.
It
was
wasn't
never
in the
raised from
council budget
No one
either?
sat here and said, I make an amendment that we raise the mayor's budget from $2,500 to $15,000. No one said that. We didn't have a vote on it. What we're trying to do is, somebody needs to do that tonight, to do that. Otherwise, it won't get done. I'm not gonna, spoon feed.
In the budget that we got, and I could go look, but on that line item in the council line, how much is in there?
15,000.
So there's
Now.
15,000 in there.
So we're
Right.
moving that to.
So
Out
why
of
don't
there.
we
That
do
was
this?
what was introduced.
Why don't we do this?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
what introduced was $2,500. Why don't we do this?
No.
Why don't we,
No,
Wait, was it 2,500 in
oh,
total?
introduced 2 weeks ago, not introduced on October
No,
2nd.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was introduced.
But it was introduced without a motion.
Doesn't, we
That-
didn't
Well, we-
make motions
So what
Oh, no,
we do,
introduce-
yeah, we do.
for changes.
No,
Oh, yeah, what if 5 people don't want
Mr.
it?
Campus.
What was
Is that
the-
the council conference budget
Yes.
line item?
Yes.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have an amendment? Why don't we have a motion by council
We do.
that's approved by a council to include the $15,000 per that line item? I think it just needs to be on the record that city council wanted to do this.
Well,
Do we?
you are technically by moving it to contingency. We're all here. Like, we're all discussing it. It's not, Mayor,
Can I offer a simpler resolution to
Yeah.
this discussion?
Please.
Thank you. Can we just forego the amendment and wait until the first meeting in January? You have 30 days to amend the budget in January. Let's just let the budget go as it is, and then your first meeting in January, you guys can make the amendment and properly fix this then. You have 30 days by.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
statute.
you actually have 45 days because you got a new council.
Is it 45 days?
Yeah.
It's 45.
So that's my suggestion. I mean, we can discuss this for like another 20 minutes, but you have a statutory time to resolve this in
We
January.
just need a majority vote. That's all we need.
So, I believe Dr. Ruggles, made an
And I
amendment
second.
to move the, $15,000 from council's budget, meetings and conferences line item, to the administration's, budget, the contingency line item of $15,000. Mind you, this is just a footnote. There's a resolution that details how you go about requesting
Yes.
money for conferences, and you have a budget
That's fine.
per council member.
Yep. That's good.
That works.
Okay.
And we'll provide you the new budget. And we'll do that tomorrow.
You'll just provide the one specific move from A to B, and then you're good. And actually, it's good, it'll coincide with the ordinance that's gonna be introduced.
Move from contingency to city council meetings and conferences won't be done till January though.
Okay, yeah.
That's fine.
Peter's right. It won't be done till
There's a
January.
big New Year's Eve party for conference meeting, that starts,
Gotta
it
be
starts
60
in
days in
2003. Starts in 2003, but we haven't passed that yet. Starts in 2003 and ends in 2004, so you could double it
That
up.
was 20 years ago. You mean 2023?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Okay.
regardless, you're passing, even though, Mayor, you're right, in a budget ordinance is effective immediately, this is a budget ordinance for '24. So, this is not being introduced right now.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted somebody on city council to make an amendment. It wasn't done.
Okay.
So Dr. Ruggles made a motion to amend with Mr. Brown seconding it, that we're taking the $15,000 from the council meetings and conferences and moving it to the administration contingency.
That's right.
Correct.
So that's what I need to vote on now.
That's the motion today, and then in January, we'll make a motion to move it back into that account.
Okay, so Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
And Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Now there was a motion by Mr. Brown, seconded by Dr. Ruggles, then to approve the actual budget, but this is going to approve the amended budget.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Okay.
Bill number 43.
We have bill number 43 that was introduced by Mr. Brown, which would fix the tax rate for the city purposes for 2024.
Move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
No.
Bill number 44.
Yeah, under new business, we have a, bill number 44 being introduced by Mr. Milan, which would amend sections, in chapter 560, which is vehicles and traffic, and this is for the meter zones in, parking meters in all of the Easton.
So introduced.
And we have bill number 45 being introduced by Mr. Ettinger, which would also amend chapter 560, but this would have to do with the parking restrictions for the trash pickup with the new hauler.
So introduced.
We have bill number 46 being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 general fund budget.
So introduced. I mean, so move.
So introduced.
You're right. Introduced.
And we have bill number 47 that's being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would amend the 2023 debt service budget.
Introduced.
We have a resolution being introduced by Mrs. Sultana that would approve a proposal between the City of Easton and Barry Issett and Associates, and they will provide detail and bid phase services for the demolition of 911, 933 Ferry Street.
Introduce. A move.
Second.
Go ahead, Dr. Ruggles, because you're going to ask the same question I'm going to ask. Unfortunately, Stephen wasn't in today.
Yeah, in reading the contract, it's specifies a specific house that says that it's going to be sold and they don't have responsibility for it, but they have responsibility for all the rest of the houses. As I understand it, there are other houses that are in that category.
There's at least one house that has a for sale sign on it. I talked to the property owner who sold her house,
Right.
and I know that there's a gentleman in the audience who is interested in other houses on that block. So I don't know the status of why we need this contract with Barry Ice. So-
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just looking at the contract, it doesn't look like,
This
It would be
contract
relevant.
this contract was thought of when the city was going to hopefully buy all of them
Right, right.
and do it. And I'm not sure that we need this contract anymore. It appears that they're doing it individually.
Well, things have changed in the last, like, even.
20
last
minutes, 2
week.
minutes.
Right, so you certainly can table this.
I think that's-
I would move that we table this.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. All right, let's move the table till time date. Is time sensitive or not?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to put any pressure on Lewis.
That's right.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to the resolution with Pomic.
Okay. We have a resolution being introduced by Mr. Milan that would approve a proposal between the City of Easton and Palmic Incorporated, and it has something to do with clean internet.
So moved.
Second.
Move the second discussion. Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
And Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
We have a resolution being introduced by Mayor Panto where council would approve the new name of the press box that was installed at the Ed McMurtry Fieldhouse at Hyle Park, and they would like it to be named the Scott Ransom Press Box.
So introduced, so moved rather, and I just want to preface that with the remarks that, as my proclamation says, the resolution says, Scott has been a athlete at Easton Area High School. He's been involved in our rec program for over 30 years. He's been the football, the Little Rovers football commissioner for over 30 years, and I believe that I have a time date on there of 25 years. I think 25 years.
20 years, Mayor.
20 years, because I think it's important that we do a time stamp. In 20 years, if the city council at that time wants to reintroduce it as a Scott Ransom, that's fine. But there may be somebody who's equally as important then that has volunteered for the next 20 years that brings it around. So I just wanted, I know serving on the Cottingham Stadium committee, the public committee to raise money for the renovation to the Cottingham Stadium, the school district had on the press box for $25,000. Well, it was already named for Richard Anderson and Parnell Lewis, two big sportscasters and sports writers from Lehigh Valley, right here in Easton. And I said, what is the requirements there? There's no requirements. It's in perpetuity. It's just like our parks. Our Scott Park is named after somebody we don't know who Scott is. I mean, we could find out, but who knows who Scott is? We have Hackett Park, we know is named after General Hackett because he gave it to us. Hugh Moore Park, he gave it to us, so I don't think you want to change Hugh Moore Park. But there's Centennial Park is named after the school that was there. Well, how long is it Centennial Park? Vanderveer Park is named after the school that was there. So Lacanor is a park in my neighborhood that the Lacanor family owned it. So, okay, they named it the Lacanor Park. But how long? I think anything that is named after somebody should be time sensitive. The only thing left to do at the press box is the sound system. And just for the public's edification, when we built the field house 15 years ago now, we got all the labor donated by guys and girls that played there. They either were cheerleaders or they were athletes, and they played there. And I told them that if they raise $70,000, we'll match $70,000, we'll build it. And I got all the contractors to do it for free. And we have a wonderful field house. The press box is not quite the same, but we're going to get guys to do some of the work there as well. So that we're going to finish up with the sound system we put in by Dave Phillips Sound that did the sound system downtown. He'll do the ones up there. You got Scott on the phone?
Scott, can you hear me? I'll second it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
The second by Roger Ruggles. Hi, Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hello?
Yeah, that's the mayor said hello. They just got a motion in a second to name the press box after you at Ohio. Would you want to say anything?
Man, I'm lost for words, man, but I honestly, I can tell you, I really appreciate it. From deep down inside of my heart, man. I'm honored, just to be represented, to have my name put up there with the great Ed McMurtry and the Bruce Anxiety. And if anybody knows me from, my background, I do this for these kids in the city of Easton, man. That's what it's all about, It's not about me. It's about getting this stuff for these kids and putting them in the right, keeping them off the street and keeping them in the right frame of mind and stuff.
Right.
I can't thank council enough for honoring me to have my name put up there, and I'll take that, and I'll wear that on my sleeve proudly,
Well, Scott, let me just say that if all of the athletes that you're taking care of and nurturing to become young men and good members of our community are like you, we'll have a good generation of kids coming up. So we appreciate your spending the time with them and molding them into the young men that we need here in our city.
Thanks, Scott. This is Kenny speaking. Thanks so much for all that you do.
And I appreciate it. Thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it. Definitely do. And that's not. It's just not going to stop there, man. There's a lot more stuff that we have to do for these kids.
We will.
I'm going to 100% behind it. So.
Okay, Scott, we appreciate it.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
It's so hard to get coaches from our city to spend time with these kids. And Scott has given a life devoted not just here, but also at the high school because he's a coach. He's assistant head coach out there at the Easton Area High School as well.
Okay. Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
And Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Resolution being introduced by Mr. Brown, which would, regarding the council members each having $2,500 per member to attend any local, state, or national conference during the year.
Move.
Second.
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
And Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Resolution being introduced by Mr. Milan, which would approve the administration benefits package for the year 2024.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
And Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Resolution being introduced by Mr. Milan, which would approve the salary and wages for the year 2024.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
And Mr. Brown?
Aye.
We have a resolution being introduced by Mayor Panto, which would council give approval to cancel the December 27th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Just a quick question. Why are we canceling this meeting?
We always,
We
it's
always do?
historically been canceled the last meeting of the year. Since all the work for the year is done, we'll have the swearing in and inauguration of the new council members and the mayor and controller on January 2nd, as per the charter. And then the first meeting of the new council will be January 10th.
So that means we will have a special meeting on January 2nd?
No.
Because it's Tuesday.
It's a special meeting. It's just, it's
Reorg-
called a
okay.
reorganizational meeting. We don't do any
No business.
formal
Mayor,
business.
that's what I wanted to tell you. I looked in the past thing we have, like, we already introduced these 4 bills, like tonight. We already have in the past finished them on that first meeting where, with the old council. And then once we went through that meeting was adjourned and then it went
Yeah, I
on.
mean, we can
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
up
We
to
just
you.
try to keep as much business off that meeting because it's lengthy.
But
as
we
Well, there
gotta
won't be any
publish
new
it, too.
business. It would just be,
The old
and it
business,
would be
yeah.
put under the consent agenda. So
Yeah,
you tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I do recall that we did that to clean off essentially the docket that we had previously.
I don't have a problem with that because we need to put, city council approved the raising the meters this year for next year. So if we do it on January 2nd, is that considered part of the budget and it becomes immediate, or does it need 30 days? That's the question we need answered.
It's a resolution or ordinance.
Well,
It's an ordinance.
it's our ordinances generally do not become effective for 30 days.
Unless it's
The-
related to the budget.
But,
Look at the charter.
but this is, well, I've been looking for it, I can't find it, but I know it's there. And the only thing I was thinking of this particular item, it really, I think it's just an extension of the budget. It's just a refinement of how what we've already budgeted as income is going to be, what the official implementation is. So I in fact, called Mr. Campos just before we got here and thought that we could bootstrap the budget issue into that particular implementation of the ordinance. That whole 30-day effectiveness, which of course I've
Well, that's
stated.
because of the INR.
Well, excuse me?
It's because of the INR initiative and referendum that's in the charter.
Well,
why
it's
that 30
because of the
days.
charter, but there's 30 days you could challenge an ordinance. That's the only reason I could think of that they put it in there.
It's the only reason.
But it
Dr.
makes,
Ruggles was on the charter
it
commission.
makes a lot more sense to have it effective immediately, and you know it's at risk.
It used to be effective on the signature of the mayor, but the mayor
Right.
doesn't sign any ordinances anymore. Well, I
That-
do,
well,
but
Yeah,
No, yeah,
not
what,
for approval.
what you're referring, third-class city code, that's what's in the third-class city code. And otherwise, there's a 10-day
But
limit
I'm not
in the
approving the
third-class
ordinance.
city code.
The ordinance is, I'm just signing it.
Right.
Not
What's in the third-class city code is no longer applicable because of the home rule charter.
Exactly. Okay,
Wait, so just so I know, so Bill 44, 45, 46, and 47 will be on the January 2nd, the first meeting, and that will be put under the consent agenda.
first meeting, yes,
Yes, the first meeting.
of the old council.
And then are they gonna be effective in the 30 days or immediately?
Well, no, they are the budget. Well, they're part of the budget.
Yeah, it depends which ordinances they are.
Well,
Yeah,
it's the one for the meter parking.
Yeah.
And then it's one for the trash pickup, which starts January 1st. And then it's amending the 2023 general fund and amending the 2023 debt service.
Well, they're all related to the budget except for the garbage pickup, but the garbage pickup is gonna be the garbage pickup. I don't know how you're gonna,
You don't get around it.
I mean, pass
So,
it,
again-
pass it and do whatever you have to do. It seems to be a practical, from the garbage pickup, those just the dates that we're talking about affecting
Otherwise,
roads.
Whether it becomes effect 30
Otherwise,
days or
it's
if it becomes
required to have
effect
a meeting.
immediately. I need to know that, cause that's what's gonna be on the final.
It doesn't matter either
Well,
way, 'cause it's
you can
next-
research it, get back to her
Yeah.
tomorrow or
Yeah, I'm saying,
Friday.
I'm saying the budget items will be there. I'm saying the garbage wasn't that the days of the week?
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah, we have, does that even need to be done by ordinance?
Yes.
The
And the
garbage
reason
thing?
it is, and can I explain that? Because in our ordinances, when we have like snow emergency routes, those streets are listed in the ordinance. When we have parking meters, those meters are listed in the ordinance. So for the trash pickup, as of right now, the actual streets and the schedule is not in the ordinance, but it was a difficult thing when Mr. Hopkins wanted to change it. So now those days with those streets will be in the ordinance. So if they have to be changed in the future, it's a lot easier to change it when it actually lists. On Mondays, it's gonna be this pickup, Tuesday, it's gonna be this pickup, Wednesday, it's gonna be this pickup.
Well, since that's when the pickups are gonna be,
Right.
there's no choice there. I suggest that the effectiveness of any violations will be 30 days afterwards, because people are gonna need that time anyway.
But adjustment.
So it'll be effective from a practical point immediately. As far as enforcement, it'll be effective in 30 days.
Right.
But what
From
am I
adoption.
putting on the ordinance sheet? Effective immediately or effective in 30 days?
You don't have to say,
You-
you don't have to say anything, cause
Yeah.
it's,
But that's part of how the ordinance is written, though. Like, it'll say this ordinance becomes effective immediately following passage by council, or this ordinance becomes effectively within 30
it's a
days.
30-dayer.
30 days for the trash, and then immediate for the others.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the actual ordinance, what exactly was stated in there.
It talks about
The
side
streets.
streets that can be parked on, or
Right.
single side parking on certain streets. Just
Oh, yeah, so it's totally the parking restrictions, that's all
Right.
it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah, I would say effective upon 30 in 30 days.
Okay.
Because in all reality, it's not even gonna be fair to try to enforce it in those first 30 days. It's gonna be a little bit of havoc, maybe we'll have a tremendous blizzard in 30 days, we can't pick up any garbage and.
Okay, so
Leave
the
this out.
meters is gonna be immediate, and the budget, amendments are gonna be immediate, but the trash pickup's gonna be 30 days.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any council members bring any other business? Hearing none, I'll open up the floor to the public for any comment, concern, or question regarding the city of
That was
Easton.
on the, no, this will be introduced.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi.
Could I have your name and address, please?
Yes, Ed Lamontagne, 722 Jackson Street.
Could you spell your last name?
Lamontagne. Well,
722 Jackson.
yes, ma'am. So apparently, I was told by Mr. Meelan,
Just Peter's fine.
Peter, that I sent 2 emails through your website. One on November 10th and one on the 1st of November. Apparently nobody got them. So your website, you're contacting the council members is not working for the email. I got a kickback saying that it was sent to you, but apparently nobody got it. So your system is, I'm wondering how many people are sending you guys emails that you're not getting.
What day was that?
I sent it on November 1st and November 10th.
Could you share with me your email? If you want to show it to me, just so I can check too.
We'll have Dustin look into that first thing in the morning. Dustin, appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and your email is, it's not here, that's just Civic Plus responding to you. Okay, what is it? L? Oh, so, okay. All right, I'll check, we'll get back to you.
I'm sorry. The emails consist of 2 things. One was your North 7th Street construction. Mr. Mayor, you be on South Side, you know not to go down Nescahoning Street when it's bad weather out, right? Why?
It's a hill.
Correct. And you
On up in the canal.
correct. And with your North 7th Street construction, what's going to happen when I go down that hill when it's icy, or you're going to have a wall, an island there, right? Because you have a marker, a painted cutout road at the bottom of North 7th Street that it will now be like a figure 9. You cannot go straight up North 7th Street. So me coming down 7th Street on bad weather days, and if I can't stop, I'm going to be hitting something. And if I'm trying to go back up the hill, you need momentum to go up that hill. You do, especially when it's bad weather. Because 2 years ago, whatever it was, I worked night shift, so I want to make sure I could actually get to work. So I looped around. I got stuck on my street, so I went down, looped around. I had to go at the base of 7th Street to make it up. And
I will check on that, Ed. I didn't know there was an island there though. Because
There-
you're making the left turn.
correct, but
on
there's
the Pearl.
there's going to be an island there that you can't go straight up. You will have to turn right.
They're reconfiguring there because of the one.
Reconfiguring.
Correct,
of the-
but
they're
They're
taking
not,
away the,
they're not making one.
the one way's going the other way.
yeah, but there's going to be
An island, you said.
an island there because it's marked. There's a cutout in the road.
Yeah, we'll check it.
If anyone gets stuck, I mean, did anyone even talk to the people on North 7th Street and tell them what you guys are doing?
No, we talked to the people on Wolf Avenue because that was
But
the biggest part
But
of
you
it.
got to affect
Wood Avenue, rather.
7th Street also.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think we were affecting 7th Street except for the one way on Pearl.
Right.
And Wood Avenue.
Yeah,
right.
but you're also cutting off 7th Street.
We'll check it. I don't think I don't know of anything that's cutting off 7th Street.
there's a map that you guys publicize that you're cutting. It's going to be like coming from Northampton Street. You're doing a backward 7 to get onto 7th Street.
I'll check it out.
I looked at the map. Unless your map somewhere was wrong, but it looks like you are doing it. It's going to be very hard to get up that street, and it's ice out. And your road crews are busy. It's going to be you will have to shut down 7th Street all the way up to Jackson Street, because if I can't stop, I mean, a long way around,
Right.
or people going up and down from their houses.
You're absolutely right, Ed. You're absolutely right.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No,
but-
check it out, and I'll get back to you.
And the other email was, I was inquiring about who was on the committees of who put the West Ward signs up. I was in.
That was a committee of,
You don't have to.
Westward Community Initiatives.
Yeah, but I was curious on who was on that committee. That I sent 2 emails, and apparently you got none of them.
It went through Greater Eastern Development Partnership.
I was curious of who was on, because signage. My
Jared-
personal opinion is
I'm on the community
David
initiative,
O'Connell was on it.
but I didn't get your email, I'm sorry.
I was curious because to me, those signs, I could think of many things that money could have gone
That was
to.
earmarked, wasn't it?
Was, well, it
Earmarked
was
for the project.
$150,000.
It had limitations of what it could be used, but signs, I lived in Westport for 13 years now. I'm a homeowner. I can think of a lot of different things, and that money could have been spent on
Well, that's
and
like
sign.
everybody else.
Money though, I don't think it was.
signs.
It
It's
had
a-
money.
in my opinion, and other people, it's a waste of money. I mean, cameras, lights, something, or I don't know the limitations of what you could have spent that money on. I would be curious to see.
It was an implementation project that was decided by the committee. And
But
that's what they chose.
I-
They looked at a number of things to do, and that was what they came up with. Because there's no identifying markers in the West Ward.
It's a sign. It's a sign.
Well,
Well, it does
I'd
mean
rather
something. I mean,
it
it's-
go into lights or cameras. Speaking of cameras,
we're doing lights.
Sir, your 5 minutes is up.
Lights,
Oh, I
all the way up
apologize.
to Northampton Street, we're doing lights.
I-
We're putting lights in, street lights.
but I'd rather set that money.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Precious Chinnikin, and that's my sister-in-law.
Could you spell your name, please?
Precous,
And your last name?
Chenekan,
I'm sorry, what?
Chenekan,
CHEN,
Nekan.
and your address.
The home or the business?
Your
Business
choice.
is fine.
345 Ferry Street.
245 Ferry.
345 Ferry
She's
Street.
right around the corner here.
345 Ferry.
Yes.
Okay.
Where 345 is Tina African Hair Braiding, and she owns it, and I'm her sister-in-law. And we just had a little complaint because the construction that's happening, we're the first building next to it. So we get the brunt of the hit when they're doing the drilling and all of that. And because of that, our cabinet has fallen down. You know, our phone service have gotten interrupted. Our internet, Verizon has come multiple times. They said that it's not them, it's the construction people. So right now we're a business, we're a salon, and the way of the communication is through our telephone. Our clients call us, make an appointment, come to do their hair. You know, our internet, we have our television. They get entertained while they're waiting. All of those things, we're unable to use it because of this construction that is going on. We know that this construction was going to happen. We anticipated all of the noise, the parking, we anticipated the issue. But what we didn't anticipate is for that to affect our telephone and our internet, which is the base of our clientele to come in, you know. And this has been happening for a while. And as to our understanding, this is going to continue for, I don't know, a couple of years. And we cannot,
No, Verizon will be done long before that.
well,
What happened was when they built this garage back in the sixties, they did not relocate the utilities. So Spruce Street used to come, Bank Street rather, used to come all the way down. They kept the wires underneath the garage. What they're doing now is the developer's paying to have them all circumvent the garage and go out to Fourth and Washington Street. But I think, I will check with Verizon tomorrow. I'll call them.
We've been talking, and they came on, what's it, yesterday? They came yesterday, and the issue still, exists. We have to
I
take.
know the guys from Med Ed were out there today.
I'm sorry?
From Med Ed, the electrical group, they're out there. They're removing a line also.
Well, right now, what we're doing, in order to receive phone calls from our clients, we had to transfer the phone, the landline phone to the cell phone, and then we have to use the hotspot for the internet. I mean, we shouldn't have to go through all of that,
Totally agree,
and we're
Precious.
losing business for that. So
I'll talk-
I'm not sure.
We have good relationship with the North Star Management Construction Group. They're doing very well. I'll talk to the owner there and also to Verizon and Med Ed. I know the guys are doing Med Ed. I don't know the Verizon guys personally, but I will find out who they are.
Yes, because I just wanted to make sure that we were not the only one that was being affected. So I went around and I asked the other businesses as well, and some of them said that they were being affected by that construction. So I did. I went around and I got a little. I started a little petition, and I got some signatures, and I delivered it a couple of, maybe I think it was last month. I brought it here and I gave it to, I'm not sure, it was a young lady I handed it to, and she said she was gonna pass it on to the mayor, but I never heard from, we never got a phone call to let us know what was going on. So just wanted to come and voice that, because it is affecting our business, and then if it's gonna go on, and who's gonna compensate for our cabinets, so all of that. So
Well,
I need
North
that.
Star should be
to go
compensating
with
you. You should call them, and I will talk to them about it. Do they have a vibrating meter on your building?
They got one
Do
across
they?
the street.
Because they
She said,
They got one across the street.
they have them. They have like 12 of them around that area that they're checking, and they will. I will talk to them about that also.
There's one in the church property right across the street.
okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to,
Okay.
and then somebody will get in touch with us.
I'll stop over your
All right, thank
salon
you.
tomorrow.
All right.
Oh, we're in Harrisburg tomorrow. I can't stop tomorrow. Friday.
Hi,
Hi. Your name and address, please?
Lynn Fraser, Fraser, 1044 Ferry Street. Okay, so things changed a little from, I wanted to also talk about the 900 block of Ferry. I live on the 1000 block, so I walk there all the time, especially coming down here tonight. So, this week, dumpsters were placed in front of the homes, and thus far, the street trees have been left alone. That was this morning. When I walk back tonight, I'm gonna see if they're still there. They are in a precarious position, but I hope that they will be preserved, since they were planted 4 years ago with volunteer help and have had a chance to take hold and thrive and even survive a fire. A friend of mine read a letter from me to you at a city council meeting in October on this subject, and perhaps you remember. She said you appeared to be in agreement that the trees should be saved if possible. So beyond that, I am also concerned about what will be built on the property there. In the 80s, there was a fire on the 800 block of Ferry Street that burned 6 homes that were in the process of being converted by an investor into 12 apartments. After they burned, I don't know if the same investor or someone else built 2 of the cheapest buildings possible in their place at 815 to 819 Ferry Street, each of which includes 6 apartments. There's one building on the street and one set back on the alley. They're like boom, boom, lined up. The original buildings had porches and decorative elements that went along well with the other buildings in that block, which was a beautiful block once, but it's getting worse all the time. Because there are no historical building restrictions in the West Ward. The new buildings have no architectural features whatsoever. Recently, the building directly on Ferry Street and South Mulberry Street, this building, was awarded two $10,000 facade grants from the COVID relief funds, I believe. One of those facades is narrow and has no windows, so obviously the money received was allowed to be used on the main facade because they did receive $20,000. The improvements were supposed to follow historical guidelines, but unfortunately, the building was historically horribly unattractive, and the building stayed within those guidelines instead of looking across the street at other buildings and trying to upgrade a little bit in the process. So what they did with the $20,000 was to paint broken, wavy siding with nail heads showing through, and painting rotting windows after touching them up with a little putty, and the frames. The windows should have been replaced, but that didn't happen. As well as painting a couple of 2x4s that are holding up the metal railing on the porch. I mean, they're at the railing and they go down onto the stairs, and they're just like, it's horribly cheap and unattractive. Anyway, cheap, narrow shutters were also applied. The new front door is an industrial door with wire glass, which really is not seen anywhere else in the neighborhood. Why these are considered improvements, I cannot understand. Maybe in the West Ward, anything goes. That's the only thing I can think. But I do understand that this damage cannot be undone and the money is gone. However, on the 900 block of Ferry Street, I am hoping for something much better than what happened on the 800 block. My idea for the block is that the land, or as much as possible, be put into a land trust, and that homes equal in quality to the homes built in Neston Heights on the south side would be offered for sale to people with limited incomes, because that's how the land trust works. I don't know if you people are aware of land trusts. The land trust would, I also would suggest that a bunch of double homes be built with porches set back a little bit. There's some houses like that on my street, on my block, on the 10th block, and it's really nice. It gives the street trees more access to water when there's a little bit of grass in front of the houses that are on the street. It was just open it up more. That block was always so closed in and overpopulated, honestly. It was really crowded there. A lot of up and down apartments and just way too many people in that block. So a land trust would increase the number of owner-occupied homes in the neighborhood, which is sorely needed. We already have 2 Lehigh Valley Land Trust homes in the area, and they are well cared for by their owners.
Ma'am, your 5 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Let me just address, we are doing land trusts. Hopefully, we'll have the Housing Development Corporation, which Mr. O'Connell is on now, for affordable housing. So we know we are looking at the land trust, and my concern about, we were against that building when it was built in the 80s, because it's prefab. It's factory construction. It wasn't stick built. So I know which one you're talking about extremely well. And even in the downtown local historic district, we don't dictate color. We have a very vanilla.
It's not the color, it's the quality of the siding they painted.
Well, I'm going to check with you, Mr. Kingsley, because I don't understand the way it works. The way I set the facade program is that Mr. Brett is overseeing it, and he oversees the contractors. So if there's shabby work there, it shouldn't be, and it should be historically accurate. I realize that building isn't historically accurate, but he can add some dental tooth molding or something to make it look more attractive.
Unfortunately, the paint was very well applied to the broken, wavy siding. There's no lack of workmanship.
No, but you say the windows and stuff. I mean,
well,
the facade program is not meant to tell people what to do with their house, but we have Mr. Brett who's supposed to advise them, and what we'll give the money for.
Maybe you should talk to him.
Yeah, I will.
Go look at it.
I will look.
at it
I saw it. I saw your email, and I went to look at it.
Get up close. Look at the windows. How they touched them up with little.
Because we just bought the church across the street.
Yeah, I know that, and that's going to put more people on the 900 block, or the 800 block.
I don't know if you were here when I gave the update on the 900 block of Ferry Street. It's very unfortunate, but they are owner-owned.
Yes, I know that.
By landlords, not by
Well,
owner-occupied.
some of them were homeowners.
One.
I thought there was more than one.
No, I think there's one owner-occupied and one.
So it has to
and one
stay
had-
that way in
had
perpetuity?
self-insurance. The
So-
landlord had what he called self-insurance.
So what?
We had great plans for it. We were going to do a complete demolition, but we didn't have the permission to demolish by the insurance companies and the homeowner. We wanted to just clear that land and build new stick-built affordable housing. That's what our goal was, with street trees and new sidewalk like Neston Heights. But unfortunately, we didn't have the authority to go in and just take them. And what people were selling them for was ridiculous amounts of money. All we were buying was a piece of land, 15 feet wide, most of them.
Right, but unfortunately, prices have gotten ridiculous even in the West Ward.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
anyway, time
But
to sell.
I'm going to check out on that 900 block, or it's the 800
block,
800 block.
815 to 819. Yeah, the other complaint was they got 2 facade grants. One of the facades is very narrow and has no windows, but they must have let the money run over onto the other facade.
Well, the way it's set up is if they face 2 different streets, they can get 2 different grants.
Yeah, but they can let the money be
Sure.
used.
For both.
Okay, thank you.
Still has to be approved, Lynn. I don't know why it was.
Jim Bloom, 1044 Ferry Street. I'm here today to advocate for my neighbors and my neighbors' children and talk about the parks in the West Ward, and we're speaking about increasing density of population there. As everybody knows, we're the highest populated and most dense per square mile of the 4 boroughs or 4 neighborhoods in Easton. And yet we have the smallest parks and the least amount of parks of at least 3 of the neighborhoods. We have 6 pocket parks, which are essentially useless and have no amenities whatsoever. We have 3 medium-sized ones, and allegedly Carl Sterner, which I wanted to bring up because it's not very accessible to most families or neighborhood children who wants to send their kids down a underpass under Route 13, which is very pedestrian unfriendly. There are cars that race there. There should be bollards there for protection. I would not walk a baby carriage there or send my child down there. And also for distance, we're in the center of West Ward. It's 3/4 of a mile to that trailhead, another 1.5 miles to get to the major green space that is on the Carl Sterner path. So considering that as a real resource for parents who want to send their kids out after school or on a weekend, it's not something that's highly accessible for the West Ward residents. I also wanted to talk about how Neston Heights, when they built the housing projects over there, they reduced the number of units by 100 units, whereas we're getting more units, one of which is looking at the Easton Home project there on Northampton Street between 10th and 11th block. That's slated, I guess, by our housing authority to have units put in there. And I wanted to find out several questions on our parks and that unit. It was stated by several members of the council that improvements have been made to our parks and that improvements are going to be made, and I wondered what those improvements are. Number one, do we have grants for those improvements, and what's happening with the Easton Home project? Is there going to be green space incorporated in that? Because it's a very large parcel, and we desperately need more space for increasing the quality of life for the residents of the West Ward. And that always directly is proportionate to the amount of crime, housing quality, housing property values, and so that those questions are really important. I noticed Nevin Park on College Hill got some major improvements over the last year, and we haven't seen any. One thing I would suggest in a very short improvement on the Centennial Park to take down the fence. I think most of the kids there don't even know that the adjacent parcel is part of that park and could be at least an open space for kids to play and run in, because it's also very small park in regards to that. Yes.
I just wanted to say that the improvements at Nevin Park were done by the neighborhood.
Right, right.
They weren't done by, it wasn't by the city.
That was all by the, well, I'm talking about tree planting, I'm not talking about the fountain, just all of the other
Mountain was
amenities that were
done
put in
mostly
there.
by the neighborhood, and the city matched, what we give, almost 45,000?
Tennis courts were improved.
Tennis courts were, well, yeah, well, we have, right now, we were just at a meeting on, when we meet out at Centennial? Yesterday?
last week.
Last week?
It was this week.
This week, it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. We met out at Centennial Park with the architect. We have a grant that we have $100,000 to help us with that park. We expect to spend probably about 300,000 or 400,000. They'll have a splash pad feature so the kids don't have
Will,
to worry
okay,
about
I was gonna recommend that, that's
Yeah,
excellent,
we-
that's an excellent.
Way for the kids to get cooled off without
I
having
mean,
to swim.
Southside has they have Heil Pool, and.
We're gonna have a splash pad there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's in the process. Just to let you know, I always thought, and I still think that is the best place to put the community center because it's the epicenter of the West Ward. It's right in the middle. But in speaking to some of the neighbors there, they said, you're taking away our green space. We don't have much in
Right.
the West Ward.
Exactly.
That and Vanderveer, they're both on 12th Street.
Yes.
So we are not going to put the community center there.
Don't talk about it there. Not right now.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay,
No, I'm not going to. But we are looking for a spot to put the community
Okay,
center.
well, that's good.
But there will be a community center in the West Ward within the next 4 years. That I assure you.
Right.
I'm not leaving office without it, and I'm leaving in 4 years. So
Okay.
I think the community center is drastically needed in the West Ward. And it'll be a community center that is similar to what Shiloh is planning over on at their church and the Easton Boys and Girls Club. I mean, we need a place where kids can get off the street.
Oh, exactly, I mean, they're playing in the sidewalk all the time.
They're always
and-
on the sidewalk.
And bicycling, and
Yeah.
there's not a good, and that's why the housing project, the home project on Northampton Street is
Easton Home was purchased by the Easton
Housing Authority.
And in the Choice Neighborhood Grant, which is similar to the Hope 6 grant that built Easton Neston, is unfortunately you get points for the number of units created in addition to what you already have.
Right.
So we're trying to create them on the public housing units that are already there. But the Easton Home Project, where Cavallo's Chiropractic used to be at the corner of 10th and
Yes.
Northampton,
Mhm.
they are proposing, I think, some units, right?
I
It's not planned yet. I mean,
Right,
the
right.
architect has not planned it yet, but
I guess that's why we're trying to get into, maybe suggest that we have some green space in that that's accessible not only to those residents, but to the community as a whole. If we want to, I mean, the pocket parks are another issue altogether. They have no amenities. They're virtually useless as parks. They're just
well, you'll
space
get
there.
there.
And do we have grants available at all for any improvements on these?
We're doing the one on South Side at Nesquehoning Park, but the ones in the West Ward are so small. Like the one on 7th Street has a street light. That's it.
I know, and that's one of the issues here. Mayor Panto, you specifically had stated that you wanted to make sure we didn't gentrify the West Ward during our historic overlay discussions, and it almost seems as if this sort of lack of improvement of parks, which would raise property values, is kind of keeping things in that vein, and which.
Unfortunately, I don't control the real estate market. When I see
Right.
houses on the corner of the 600 block of Ferry Street that I grew up at my grandmother's house going for $780,000, I don't like it, but there's not much I can do about it. Same way with the rentals. My concern about gentrification has to do with when the units, like the gentleman I talked to at Wawa the other morning, his rent is $600 a month, and it's going to go to $1,200 on the renewal. That, to me, should be looked at by the state. And
Right.
I'm not a person who believes in rent control, but that a landlord shouldn't be allowed to increase their rent just because a new apartment is $2,000.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be allowed to go up
With
double.
no improvements to the property.
Without any
Their landlords do not want to.
You won't get an argument from me. I agree with you 100%.
And that affects all of our property values and the quality of life again in the parks. I mean, is the city looking at trying to commandeer any other space or purchase any other spaces?
I think we have about 21 units we're under. I also
I mean, I'm
believe
talking
that
about for
don't-
park space,
Oh, for park space?
Yes.
Oh, we're always looking for park space. I mean, we're looking to improve the pocket parks.
Mm-hmm.
We have what's his name? Amez, down at the Silk Mill, the landscape architects, they gave us a report on what to do with them. Unfortunately, all they are is where the federal government gave you money to create a park where there used to be a house.
Right.
And so they're very narrow and very, the biggest one that we have, I think, is up on Jackson Street.
Yes.
Ed, where's that one on the 1200 block? I think it's
Yeah, it's in Jackson.
1200 block of
There's
Jackson.
Jackson Street,
Yeah.
there's
That's the biggest one.
Cannon, Raspberry,
Raspberry
8th
is-
Street, 7th Street,
That's
they all
long.
have pocket parks, yeah.
7th Street Park is
I mean,
really small.
We've been here 42 years, and we know that
Almost
well,
missed it.
so.
But we're definitely looking at them. We are charging, one of the things you'll see next, after the first of the year is, I'll be recommending an increase in the bedroom. We have open space recreation fund that I created in 2009, and they pay $325 a bedroom towards open space and recreation. I'm gonna ask the city council to raise that to $500 a bedroom. We need more money to be put into our parks.
Right.
Speaking of the Carl Sterner Arts Trail, they just came to us for money, that they want every year, and so we're gonna help them out, but, we need more green space.
Right. And actually, as I mentioned about the 13th Street there, it's, maybe plans to improve that corridor to make it more friendly for youth or adults even to get to the Carl Sterner on foot rather than having to drive there. That's a very
Very tough
hazardous and
intersection.
scary.
Very,
If
very
you've never
hazardous.
walked there, you should try it sometime.
My son lived on 12th and Wood, I know it very well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just wondering does the West Ward now have any resident groups that are sort of on an informal basis do any maintenance on the pocket parks? Like raking leaves and clearing
I don't believe
clearing
there's
debris
any-
and stuff like that.
I mean, I personally, well, I shouldn't say that,
Larry Porter.
that we have the Broom Brigade that Anthony from Connections
Anthony
is an all-volunteer group that we join, and we do certain blocks, and we will do around certain parks like Centennial, and we'll pick a block during the summer months every other Wednesday, and people volunteer to
I
come.
know a few years ago, Lance Wheeler had put
Yes.
together a group of people who went around to the various pocket parks and just cleaned them up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a permanent thing, obviously, but I was just wondering if anybody in the West Ward was doing that right.
We are having a public meeting before we make the final, when we get the site plan from the architect, we will have a public
Oh, okay,
meeting
good.
with all the neighbors to invite
for
them in,
input.
talk
Okay.
about it, and something we can, we're doing 2 parks right now, the Centennial Park and the skate park. We were just
Right,
met
I'm
with the
familiar
skate
with
park
the skate
people on
park.
Wednesday.
Mhm.
So,
And Mayor, the Vanderveer, even though
right,
we have,
that has another grant.
we have an arrangement, but we are looking to repave the basketball courts there, if
And
anything.
improve
But the big ticket item is going to be Centennial.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you very much. for your-
Thanks.
Anyone else like the rest of City Hall, City Council? City Hall, City Council.
Ray Smallberger.
I'm sorry, what?
First name's Ray, like Raymond Smallberger.
Last name? Spell your last name.
SMALLBERGER.
And your address?
838 West Milton Street. Just bring this up for thought. I know I'm a little bit early, but the pool with the lifeguard situation for the last 2 seasons, we only got enough lifeguards for 1 pool. If we run into that situation again, should we only have 1 pool open and save money and not to have the other pool operating and give the money to some other part of the recreation?
Well, Ray, you're absolutely right. When the city had financial problems, which we always have, the Pennsylvania Economy League came in and recommended that one of the pools be closed. Well, decide which one would be closed.
I know.
People come over to Heil from College Hill now, they love it. Because, we grew up there. We swam there all the time. We knew what we had. They didn't. And they love it. So the rotating one, I hope it doesn't come back to that again this next year, but the YMCA recruits lifeguards all year.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying if it comes up again, why should we run 2 pools?
Well,
I don't know.
The only thing is chemicals, and the chemicals aren't the hard. The real cost center of pools is the lifeguards.
Okay, I thought it was the water, the chlorine.
Yeah, the water,
all
we
that.
don't drain it.
All right.
It stays in there.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it stays,
I just brought this up, I thought.
because it's about 60,000 gallons up in the High Pool, more than that. I have 35,000, so it's probably about 90,000 gallons.
That's all I want to mention. Thank you.
Good thing, thanks, Ray.
I don't know.
Anyone else want to address city council?
Right on time.
Hey, Guy, you're right on time.
Wow.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Hagai Feiner,
Spell it.
Hagai. Last name is, maybe I can lift this up and that's it. F is in Frank, Einer.
Okay. And your address.
3961 Mountain View Avenue. It's in Palmer Township.
Thank you.
So I wanted to come and give you some good news, because I think a lot of times people come here to complain, so, myself included. So we had a grand opening at 915 Northampton, but almost exactly a year ago. It's a great space. And about 6 months ago, a young lady came through our doors looking for office space. She first came to 225 Ferry, which is unfortunately still vacant, but we're still thinking kind of what to do with it. And then she ended up talking to us at 915. She saw 915, she needed a warehouse, and she effectively gave us the make me move price for a 7-year lease on that space. We're moving next door to 913 Northampton. Mission stays the same. That space is getting renovated now. Going to end up looking very much like a continuation of 915. It's going to be beautiful. And she's moving in with her team. It's a multi-million-dollar business, 15 full-time employees, and at the peak season, she gets up to 35 people. They're a national business. They ship nationally, and you can actually look them up. Name of the business is Pressed Bouquet Shop. They're going to rebrand, and I think they're going to rename the business as well. But they've been growing very fast, very successful business, and I think it's a big win for Easton, big win for the West Ward. They look forward to being involved in the community as well, and you're getting more good people in town operating. So with that, I wanted to thank you for your support. I know sometimes developers get a bad rep, maybe come to you with a lot of asks, but maybe not a lot of give back. But I think that in the end, there are good intentions, and we're all working together, and the results are showing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to
Guy,
see you keep-
I have a question for you. I'm just wondering, will the West Ward Clean and Safe Committee still be able to meet at that location?
Absolutely. So you're welcome at our new home at 913 Northampton. It's getting
Oh, okay.
renovated now.
All right.
We're in rough. By the way, thank you for expediting our permits. You know, people ask me why Easton, and I always refer back to the team that you have working here at City Hall. You know, what happens here reflects out there. And so, yes, you'll meet at 913. And I also think 915, you know, those doors will be open for you as well. And I look forward to introducing you to the owner of that new business that's coming.
Thanks a lot. It's a beautiful space. I never get tired of saying it. You did a great job on that.
Yeah, so some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Very good, guy. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you for keeping Kirk busy out of trouble. Anyone else like to address city council? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. O'Connell.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana.
Aye.
Mayor Pianto.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
And Mr. Milan.
Aye.
Thank you.